It blinked 3 times before I noticed. Not because I wasn't looking, but because I always am. I just didn't care enough to flinch. That little orange gas light pulsing from the corner of the dash. Soft, like it's asking for something gently. Not a scream, not a warning, just a flicker, like a candle that knows it's not your birthday. I think that's the part that gets me. It's always polite, it doesn't panic, it just glows. And somehow that feels worse. I don't remember the last time I filled my tank. That used to be normal, you know? You pulled in, swiped the card, filled it up without thinking. Now I don't even look at the price per gallon. I don't care if it's $3.79 or $5.10. I'm not filling it anyway. I just do $10 or whatever's left. Sometimes it's $7, sometimes it's $2.81, and I hold the nozzle like a confession. I pump just enough to survive the next few hours, just enough to pretend I'm still moving forward. The cup holders are empty but sticky. That weird, sour syrup feeling under my fingertips every time I reach down. I don't even clean it anymore. I used to, back when I thought I might have a passenger who'd care. Now it's just me. Me and the apps and the noise and the silence between them. The car doesn't feel like a place I go. It feels like a version of me that never gets out. I sit here with the engine off, but the world still humming under my skin. I've been parked outside this gas station for I don't know how long. 20 minutes? An hour? I told myself I'd rest, but I haven't moved. I just keep watching the light, still blinking, still waiting for me to care. There's gravel under my tires and it crunches soft when I shift my weight. Not enough to start the car, just enough to remind me I'm here. The air smells like burnt oil and someone else's smoke. This station's open 24 hours, but I haven't seen a soul in half an hour. That kind of emptiness starts to feel intentional. Like the world knows when you don't want to be seen and gives you that mercy without asking. I lean back in the seat, but the lumbar support's gone. It's just a dip now, like the car got tired too. My spine fits into it like a habit. I can feel every vertebrae pressing into the fabric, into the weight, into the hours. My hands rest on my thighs, fingers loose, cold. They're always cold lately. I don't know if it's the weather or the blood. I think maybe it's just that I don't move enough to stay warm anymore. Sometimes I wonder what it would feel like if the tank just ran dry. Not in some dramatic way, just while I'm on the freeway, while I'm between orders, while I'm thinking about whether I should spend the last $6 on gas or food. I don't think I'd panic. I think I'd just let the car drift to the shoulder and sit there, breathing in the silence like it was something sacred. I don't even think I'd call anyone, not that there's anyone to call. It would just be quiet and still and honest. That's the part people don't get. It's not the driving that breaks you, it's the math, the silent, constant math. How much do I need to put in to get through the day? How many miles left until I'm empty? How much is left on the card? How much before I hit negative? It's like living inside a calculator with a dying battery. The screen flickers but still shows enough to remind you what you owe. I used to joke that I could drive on fumes. But now I think I really am. Not just the car, me. I haven't had a full night's sleep in, I don't know, weeks? I've been living on coffee I don't even taste and sandwiches I buy with coins I find in the glove box. I had a gift card once, $15 to Wawa. I stretched it for 4 days. That felt like luxury. Now I drink tap water from a bottle I refill in the gas station bathroom. I think I stopped feeling embarrassed around the 3rd time. Shame takes energy. I can't afford that anymore either. The light's still on, it hasn't changed. Just glowing, quiet, faithful. I think I trust it more than the app now. The app lies. It dings and then disappears. It says $10 and turns into $6. It says 2 miles and takes 12. It sends you into neighborhoods with no parking and no tips and no signs of life. The gaslight never lies. It just tells you when you're about to run out. Simple. Honest. I wish I could say the same for everything else. Sometimes I talk to the car, not out loud, just in my head. Like, please, just one more ride, just one more delivery, just get me through the next shift. And then I'll rest, and then I'll figure something out, and then I'll breathe. But the then never comes. I just keep making promises I don't believe. To the car, to myself, to the silence. And the silence never argues. It just listens and waits. There's a quarter under the seat. I saw it earlier when I dropped my phone. I haven't picked it up yet. I keep thinking about it though. Like maybe that quarter could be the difference between now and later. Between walking and driving. Between yes and no. But I can't reach it. Not because it's far. Just because I don't want to move. Moving makes things real. Stillness keeps them floating. I checked my bank app before I pulled in here. 32 cents, no pending deposits, no tips left to clear. Just that number sitting there like a joke I've heard too many times. I stared at it until the screen dimmed. Didn't refresh, didn't try again, just let it fade. I think that's what I've been doing. Fading. Not in some tragic way, just dimming. Like a bulb that doesn't burn out, just gets quieter. I used to dream about vacations, about having enough to breathe. Now I dream about making it home with the gaslight still glowing. That's it. That's the dream. Make it home without the car giving out first. Make it to morning with enough in the tank to pretend I can try again. The sun's not up yet, but I can feel the cold shifting. That weird in-between when the sky's still dark but the world starts waking up. I should start driving again. But the gaslight's still on, and I don't know if I'm more afraid of what happens if I do or what happens if I don't. I haven't spoken to anyone today. Not really. Just a few thank yous and leave it doors. No eye contact, no voices that remember me. I think that's why I keep the radio off. The silence feels more honest than pretending someone's talking to me. It wraps around me like a coat I didn't ask for but won't take off. It's not warm, but it fits. The gaslight flickers again. I don't know if it's the angle or the bulb or the way I'm seeing, but it feels like it's breathing, like it's the only thing in the car still trying, still reminding me I'm here, still saying something even if I don't want to hear it. Maybe that's why I haven't turned the key. Maybe I want to see how long it'll last. Maybe I want to see if it'll go out before I do. Maybe I'm just tired. It's always the gaslight that tells me I'm alive. And tonight, it feels like the only thing that still believes it. If my car dies, I disappear with it. It creaks when I turn the wheel too far to the left. Not loud, just a soft, tired groan like it's trying not to wake me. I hear it more at night. Everything is louder when the world is asleep. The vents rattle when the heat's on full blast, but I leave it anyway. Even when the air stinks of plastic and something burnt, I think if the heat stops working, I won't have much reason to stay inside it anymore. And if I'm not inside it, I don't know where else I'd be. There's a smell in here that never fully goes away. Old fries and sweat and the ghost of every cup of coffee I've ever spilled but didn't have the energy to clean. It's not disgusting, it's familiar. Like a jacket that doesn't smell good but smells like you. The seatbelt sticks. The driver's side window doesn't roll down all the way, and the trunk has to be slammed just right or it stays ajar until the next red light. I've learned all its moods, all its needs, all the little tricks to keep it from falling apart. I treat this car better than I treat myself. I sleep in it more than I sleep in my own bed. Some weeks, I don't even go back. The seat doesn't recline properly, so I curl sideways with my jacket under my neck and a hoodie over my face. I figured out which parking lots are safest: Walmart, Hospital Overflow, behind the 24-hour laundromat near 8th. Security doesn't check there. If you angle the car just right, the early sun hits the windshield but not your eyes. I've done this long enough to know which gas stations won't make you move along if they see condensation on the windows. I keep a roll of paper towels in the passenger footwell. Not for cleaning, just for everything else. Napkins, tissues, seat covers, pillow substitute. Shame sponge. It soaks up more than it should. There's a half-eaten protein bar in the center console that's been there since last Thursday. I keep telling myself I'll throw it out, but I don't. It's weird. What starts to feel like a companion when you're alone for long enough. The engine makes a sound I don't recognize when I start it cold. It hesitates, like it's considering giving up. I hold my breath every time I turn the key, whisper something without moving my lips. Just enough to make it through today, just this shift. Just one more batch. I promise it gas. I promise it oil. I lie, but I do it softly. I think I believe in this car more than I believe in anything else, not because it's good, but because it's still here. It's not reliable, it's just consistent in its struggle. Like me, I know where it hurts. I know how far it can go on fumes. I know the exact moment the low tire pressure light is lying and when it's serious. I know the rhythm of its idle, the cough before it settles, the rattle that started in winter and never left. Every repair is a conversation with the void. Do I have it? Can I risk it? Is it worth losing a shift? I once drove with a failing alternator for 3 days, praying through each delivery that the lights wouldn't dim before I got back to the freeway. I've used jumper cables on myself in rain. I've begged strangers outside gas stations, not with words, just with a look that says, please, just help me. Start it one more time. I've wept quietly while watching YouTube tutorials on replacing a serpentine belt in the back of a McDonald's lot. People say, just get it fixed, but they don't see the choices behind that sentence. Fix the brakes or pay rent, get new tires or buy groceries, change the oil or buy medicine. I choose the car every time because without it, nothing else matters. It's the bridge between survival and silence. Without it, I don't exist in the system. I'm not a worker. I'm not a number. I'm just a liability with a dead phone and nowhere to plug it in. The car is the job, the office, the lunchroom, the bathroom sometimes, the therapist, the sanctuary, the coffin. I'm not being dramatic. I just mean it holds all of me, my body, my debt, my hours, my failure. When I leave it, I lose the illusion of movement. I lose the excuse to keep going. I've had nightmares where I'm stranded, not big explosions or crashes, just turning the key and nothing. No sound, no engine, just the sound of my own breath thick in the cabin. And I sit there in the dream, not moving, because I don't know what comes next. That's the fear, not dying, not pain, just not knowing what to do if the wheels stop turning. I haven't told anyone this, but I keep a set of clothes in the back seat, folded, washed at the coin laundry when I can spare it. It's not a plan, it's a delay, in case I need to look like I'm not falling apart, in case I have to show up somewhere that requires clean jeans and a shirt without grease on the hem. I haven't touched them in weeks, but I keep them close, like a signal to myself that I haven't completely surrendered yet, even if I have. I talk to it sometimes, not like a pet, not like a machine, more like an old friend I'm ashamed to keep using. I tell it I'm sorry, I ask it to hold on. I promise I'll get the brakes looked at. I don't, I just can't. But I mean it when I say it. That has to count for something. There's a crack in the windshield I watch when I'm stuck in traffic. It started as a chip 2 winters ago. I covered it with clear tape. That peeled off eventually. Now it stretches like a vein across the glass. I trace it with my eyes sometimes, like a road map of my last 2 years. It's comforting, honest. It shows me what pressure does when left alone too long. If this car dies, I'm not just stranded, I'm erased. I can't rent another one. I don't have the credit for financing. I don't have a place to keep one parked while I figure it out. This car is the plan, the backup plan, the emergency fund, the only address I answer to. When I apply for things that ask for place of residence, I've typed the model and year before deleting it, just to see how it looks. People think poverty is loud, but it isn't. It's the sound of the key clicking and nothing happening. It's the silence of no notifications. It's a car that won't start and a body that's too tired to panic. It's knowing no one's coming. No one's waiting. No one will notice if you don't show up, because you were never really in the room to begin with. I keep thinking, what happens if it dies in the middle of a run? What do I say? Sorry, the engine quit. Your food's still in the back seat. Do I leave the hazard lights on while I walk the bag 3 blocks to their porch? Will they tip? Will they even open the door? I think I'm afraid of the breakdown because it'll be honest. It'll say everything I've been pretending not to admit. That I'm already at the end. That I've been at the end. That the only thing between me and the edge is this rusting shell of steel and rubber and memory. So I whisper to it, I praise it, I forgive its sounds, I offer it gas like a prayer, and I keep driving, even when I shouldn't, especially when I shouldn't, because if my car dies, I disappear with it. There's no such thing as an emergency when every day already feels like one. I used to panic when my card got declined. That moment at the register when the beep doesn't go through used to hit me like a punch. Now it just feels like background music. I don't even blink. I just take a step back, open another app, check the balance I already know is empty, and try a different card. Or I leave. I've left groceries on the belt, left coffee on the counter, left fast food I'd been craving all day just because the $2 I thought was there wasn't. It never feels like a crisis. It just feels like Tuesday. The tire pressure light's been on since February. I stopped checking which one it is. I stopped looking for air. I know it'll hold for a while, and if it doesn't, I'll find out. That's how most things go now. Something breaks, I ignore it, and eventually it either fixes itself or becomes part of the atmosphere. Like the cracked screen on my phone, the top corner's shattered, glass flaking off. If I slide too hard, I use it anyway. Thumb always swiping around the broken part like it's not there. It still lights up, still loads the app. That's all I need. Anything more would feel like luxury. Sometimes I don't eat all day, not because I'm trying to save money, though that's always part of it, but because I just forget. The hunger is quiet now. It doesn't growl or ache. It just sits in me like the silence between notifications. A low hum I've gotten used to. I eat when a tip justifies it. That's the exchange now. If someone's generous, I buy a slice. If not, I wait. I've become a machine that converts kindness into calories. Some days I make it 12 hours without either. The rain came through the crack in the back window last week. It wasn't a storm, just a soft drizzle that slid through the rubber seal and onto the back seat. I didn't fix it. I just threw an old hoodie back there to soak it up. Drove the rest of the night with the heater on high, trying to keep the windows from fogging. The hoodie's still wet. Still smells like rain and something moldy. But it's part of the car now, like me. I sat outside of Wendy's for 5 hours last weekend, waiting for anything. The app glitched halfway through a dash and never recovered. I kept refreshing, resetting, restarting the phone. Eventually, I just stared at the screen and let it glow. No music. No sound. Just the glow of nothing happening. I didn't leave. I didn't sleep. I just waited. I think I forgot what I was waiting for. The ticket on my windshield was for parking in a loading zone. $29. I tried to contest it, but didn't even hit submit. The appeal screen needed a photo and a statement and a scan of my ID, and halfway through writing it, I stopped. Not out of rage, just emptiness. Like I already knew how it would end. I've paid $300 in parking fines this year. Not because I break rules, but because the job puts me in places that punish you for pausing, for trying to deliver something hot while the street doesn't care. My notifications come late sometimes. The ping will show up after the pickup window closed, or the app will freeze during a stacked order and blame me for being late. There's no point arguing. I've sent messages. I've explained. The responses are always the same. We understand your frustration. They don't, but I keep driving anyway. I've started to think that fairness is a luxury reserved for people with time. My bank account stays around the same number. Not because I manage it well, but because I live inside a loop. Money comes in, then out, then gone. It's like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain wide open. Rent, gas, snacks, tips, tires, oil, tickets, lunch, brake pads, overdraft, more gas. I don't even flinch anymore. I just hope the next deposit clears before the next fee hits. I don't feel emergencies anymore. I recognize the shape of them, the flat tire, the warning light, the cough that won't go away, but I don't respond. My body's done with sirens. I operate inside the fire now. I've stopped reacting. It costs too much to care that hard. You adapt. You rewire. You tell yourself, this is normal. This is what life is now. There's a guy at the gas station who watches me when I fill up. He works inside but comes out to smoke. Never says anything, just watches. I used to think he was judging me. Now I think maybe he sees himself. We nod sometimes. That's the extent of my human contact that day. A nod between two people pretending we're fine. I haven't checked my email in weeks. It's just ads, payment reminders, notices about something being due. I know what they'll say. I know what I can't pay. Seeing it in writing doesn't help. It just presses the bruise harder. Every now and then, someone will ask if I'm okay. A customer who looks me in the eyes. A relative who still thinks I'll figure it out soon. I nod. I smile. I say, yeah, just tired. And that's true, but it's not the kind of tired they think. It's not a lack of sleep. It's a lack of endings. A lack of moments where I can actually feel safe stopping. I used to dread the unexpected. Now I expect it. The decline, the breakdown, the app freezing mid-shift, the phantom order that steals 20 minutes, the customer who says, hand it to me, and then never comes to the door. I just breathe through it. One long, flat exhale. No spike in heart rate, no drama, just another piece of static in the background noise of my life. There's no such thing as an emergency anymore. Just 100 small collisions that don't even leave a mark. I haven't cried in months, not because I don't feel anything, but because it never builds up that high. It leaks out in little moments, a breath held too long, a dinner skipped, a minute lost to a blank stare through the windshield while the world moves around me like I'm not even in it. I think if something big did happen, like really big, I wouldn't even know how to respond. I've lived inside the smoke so long I wouldn't see the fire. I'd probably just drive through it, try to make it to the next order. Try not to let it mess with my acceptance rate. People think this life is unstable, but it's not. It's consistently unstable, predictably unpredictable. The chaos is dependable. That's what keeps you in it. You get used to every day being slightly off, slightly broken, slightly dangerous. And once that becomes your norm, nothing scares you, nothing surprises you, nothing breaks you because you've already been broken into so many pieces. You don't remember what the whole looked like. So when something goes wrong now, I don't panic. I just adjust. I find a way to keep moving. Not because I'm strong, but because I don't know what else to do. Because stopping feels like stepping off the edge of something I've forgotten how to name. I don't wait for the next emergency. I live inside it. And after a while, it stops feeling like danger and starts feeling like home. I know how far this tank will take me, and I still press the pedal like I don't. The sound started small, a soft whine when I turned the key like the engine had to think about waking up. I ignored it. Then it got louder. Something in the front end that ticks now when I idle too long. I turn the radio up just enough to bury it. Not because I think it'll fix itself, but because I don't want to hear what I already know. I know the belt's going. I know the oil hasn't been changed in almost 9,000 miles. I know the tires have thinned to skin, but I keep driving anyway. I know how far this tank will take me, and I still press the pedal like I don't. There's a route I take most days. Not because it's fastest, but because I know where the stoplights are. I know which ones give me just enough time to rest my eyes before they turn green. I don't even think about the map anymore. I could drive this loop blind. The same gas station, the same side street where the signal's weak. The same house with the cracked window and the leave it door instructions that never change. I'm not navigating, I'm rehearsing. Like this whole life is something I've memorized instead of lived. The headlights started to flicker when I hit bumps. I saw it in the reflection of a storefront yesterday. One side steady, the other blinking like a nervous tick. I watched it for a second longer than I should have, waiting for it to go dark completely. It didn't. Just kept flickering, like it couldn't decide whether to give up or keep trying. I felt like I was looking at myself. There's a voicemail I haven't listened to. From my sister. She called 2 weeks ago. I saw it come in while I was waiting outside, a Chick-fil-A for a late night order. I told myself I'd call her back after the delivery. Then I told myself I'd call her after the shift. Now it just sits there, unplayed. I'm scared of what it might say, or maybe scared that it says she misses me, that she still thinks I'm okay. I don't want to hear that in her voice, not when I don't believe it in mine. I've been thinking a lot about how long I can keep pretending this is temporary. When I first started, I told myself it was just to cover the gap, just until I figured things out. That was, I don't know, a year ago? More? Time doesn't move the way it used to. Now it's measured in deposits and red notifications and updates from the app, in maintenance lights ignored and text messages left unread. Some days I look in the mirror and don't recognize the person behind the wheel. Not because I look different, but because I look exactly the same. Tired in the same way, wearing the same shirt for the third day, hair unwashed, eyes unfocused. There's a kind of horror in that sameness. Like I've stopped changing, like the days pass, but I don't. I used to be afraid of breaking down. Now I think I'm more afraid of not breaking, of staying in this in-between forever. Not bad enough to stop, not good enough to breathe, just moving, just working, just going through the motions until something bigger than me decides it's over. Maybe that's why I haven't fixed the engine noise, or the headlight, or the voicemail. Because admitting those things need fixing means admitting I still think this life has edges, and I'm not sure it does. There's a whisper that lives in the back of my head lately. It says, "You're running out." Not just of gas, of time, of belief. I hear it when I pass the same freeway exit I always take, when I eat the same gas station sandwich for dinner, when I cancel a call because I can't fake the energy to talk like I'm fine. It's a quiet thing, not urgent, not loud, but it's there, constant, like the hum of the engine right before it stalls. I wonder if anyone notices. Not the customers, they don't see you. I mean the people who used to know me, the ones I've pulled away from, the ones I keep saying just busy right now to. I wonder if they ever stop and think, he hasn't been okay for a while. Or if I've disappeared so gradually that no one thought to look. There was a moment last week, a moment that keeps circling back. I was delivering to this apartment complex with no parking. I pulled into a red zone, put on my flashers, jogged the bag up 3 flights of stairs, came back to find a ticket already printed. I didn't get angry, I didn't even sigh. I just sat in the car with the windows fogged and the engine running and stared at the paper. I didn't read it, I knew what it said. I just held it in my lap like a receipt for something I didn't buy. I haven't cried, not in the way people think. No breakdowns, no sobbing, just these tiny fractures that keep appearing. A skipped meal, a voicemail ignored, a light left blinking too long. And I keep telling myself, just keep going. Just one more delivery, just through the weekend. But weekends turn into weeks, weeks turn into months. And here I am, still pressing the pedal, still pretending I don't know how close I am to empty. I think part of me wants to see what happens when it finally stops, when the car gives out, when the app glitches beyond repair, when the deposits stop coming and the gas pump clicks before I can squeeze enough to drive again. I think I want to know what silence feels like after all this noise, not because I'm ready, but because I'm tired of lying to myself that this is working. I'm not spiraling. I'm just still in the same seat, still taking the same turns, still answering the same ping and watching the same numbers shrink and reset, still pretending this isn't who I've become. But I know better now. I know exactly how far this tank will take me. I know the limit, I've driven it, slept in it, prayed through it. I know where the road ends. I just keep pressing the pedal like I don't. And maybe that's the scariest part, not the running out, but the pretending I won't. I don't have backup, I have breath left. The cake was shaped like a unicorn, white frosting, pink spirals, little edible stars. I had to carry it with both hands, couldn't risk the box tipping. I hadn't eaten since noon. My stomach made a sound halfway up the driveway and I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it felt like the only thing in my body still trying to speak. The house had pillars, real ones, a fountain in the front, lit from below like it was performing for someone. I stood there holding that unicorn cake, wondering what it must feel like to live in a place that shines even when no one's looking. The door opened, a kid screamed, balloons tied to the mailbox bobbed in the wind. A woman smiled, took the cake, said, "Thank you," in that tone people use when they've already moved on. I wasn't a person. I was the last step before the celebration could start. No tip, just a closed door. I stood there for a second longer than I needed to, not because I was waiting, but because I didn't want to go back to the silence of my car. That moment with the door still echoing shut behind me felt fuller than anything I'd had all day. I ate crackers I found in the glove box, stale, probably months old. I drank warm water from a bottle that had been rolling under the seat for days. It wasn't nourishment, it was maintenance. I was fueling the machine just enough to keep the gears from locking. I thought about that cake, the soft texture, the sugar, the weight of it in my arms. I wondered if anyone noticed the way I held it, carefully, like it mattered, like it was the most valuable thing I'd touched all week. Sometimes I pray, not in the way people think, not with words or names or hands held in reverence. I just grip the steering wheel a little tighter and whisper things I don't fully believe. Let this order be on time. Let the brakes hold. Let the gas stretch further than it should. Let me make it through this shift without having to lie to myself again. I don't pray for miracles, I pray for margins, for just enough slack in the rope to make it to tomorrow. I don't have backup, I don't have a savings account, I don't have health insurance, I don't have someone waiting for me to come home. I have breath. That's it. And even that feels rented. Some nights I fall asleep with the seatbelt still across my chest, engine off, eyes burning. I dream about alarms that never go off, about doors that open to nothing, about driving to a destination that disappears as soon as I arrive. I wake up not because I'm rested, but because I can't afford not to be. There was a moment last week, just a second, that I thought about crashing on purpose, not to die, just to stop, just to have something big enough happen that no one could ask me to keep going. I imagined the impact, the sound, the spinning. I imagined laying there in the aftermath, finally still, no phone buzzing, no orders waiting, no questions, just quiet. It scared me, but not in the way you'd expect. It scared me that it didn't feel like fear. It felt like relief. I'm tired of doorsteps, tired of walking up to strangers' homes and pretending I'm not disappearing, tired of being invisible with a name tag, tired of saying, "Enjoy your meal," to people who won't even open the door. There's a certain kind of loneliness that comes from being useful but unwanted, from being part of someone's life for exactly 4 seconds and then erased before you can blink. I leave things gently. I arrange them with care. I hope someone notices, but I know they don't. The phone lights up again. I haven't looked at it. I know it's another order, another route, another address that doesn't exist on the map, another parking ticket waiting in the shadow of a fire hydrant, another chance to trade my time for something less than survival. I don't move. I just watch it glow. It buzzes once, then stills. I think I envy it. I almost cried yesterday, in the drive-through line. Don't even remember why. A song came on the radio, something soft, something I knew from a long time ago, and I felt this swell in my chest like a wave that wasn't sure whether to crash or pull back. I blinked and looked away, focused on the taillights in front of me. On the way, the rain curved down the windshield in slow motion veins. The tears didn't come, they don't anymore. I think that part of me is out of service. I used to think I was doing this to get ahead, that if I pushed hard enough, stayed long enough, drove far enough, I'd break through. But I've been circling the same drain for months. The needle hovers near E no matter how many hours I put in. The math doesn't change. I work more and stay broke. I say yes and get nothing. I stretch and still tear somewhere inside. People talk about rock bottom like it's a place you land, but I think it's more like a feeling that settles in your bones, a kind of gravity that pulls even your thoughts downward. I'm not waiting to bounce back. I'm just trying not to break while no one's watching. I'm trying to remember what it felt like to be a person instead of a profile picture. I'm trying to remember my name without needing the app to show me. There's no reset button, no big moment. Just one more delivery, one more gas station coffee, one more fast food napkin used to wipe your hands, your face, your shame. I've become something I don't recognize, moving through a world that never really saw me to begin with. I don't have backup. I don't have a plan. I don't have a number to call if the car dies or the app freezes or my chest tightens and won't let go. I have breath. I have one more inhale, one more drive, one more attempt at pretending this is okay. And maybe that's the most honest thing I've said in a long time. I'm not okay. I'm still driving, still showing up, still delivering things I'll never taste to people who'll never remember me, still watching the screen light up like it matters, still surviving without living, still here, even if I don't know why anymore. Anyway, the phone just buzzed again.